So, Rob, the Patriots decided to roll with the 40-year-old Tom Brady and trade Jimmy G. Did the Patriots make a mistake, my man?
Of course they made a mistake. And, you know, just the other day, Bill Belichick, the guy who was Tom Brady, they called him his life coach. He was really his caretaker. Because Tom Brady is 40 years old. And in NFL life, he might as well be 60. And I know
this dude has worked miracles with Tom Brady.
What I'm saying, you got to look at it long term. The worst thing an organization can do is fall in love with older players who have done stuff for them. And I'll give you another Boston example just to tell you how much it can affect your organization long term. You know this, Chris. The Boston Celtics fell in love with Parrish, McHale, and Bird. They won a title in '86. They held on to them. They didn't get rid of any of them when they could have traded them, made some moves to change the look of their team in the future. What happened? The Celtics went 22 years without winning a championship because they held on to those guys too long. Tom Brady, God forbid, is an injury. He's at his age, an injury away or something, and then you're stuck. You have a guy who can take the next step. All these great quarterbacks in the NFL have all finished their careers with other teams, right? Brett Favre left Green Bay. Montana left San Francisco. Joe Namath left the Jets. Peyton Manning. I could go on and on and on. It's just what this league is. So you can't fall in love. I get it. They weren't going to make a move because Brady won a Super Bowl, right? So I get this year. But to let that guy Garoppolo leave and have a 40-year-old going into thinking about next year, what if the Patriots don't win? What if Tom Brady's not good the last couple of weeks or they lose in the playoffs? Then where do you go as he turns 41 next year? It's a mistake long term. It's no disrespect for what Brady's done, but you can't fall in love with the past. You always have to think about what's coming up, and they've made a mistake here. They won't admit it. But once they don't win a Super Bowl over the next couple of years, then they'll look back and say, when Garoppolo and the 49ers are making their movement towards winning again.
I'm a bit torn here because as a player, as a former player, you would like to see that there being some type of loyalty. Mm-hmm. And what you see with New England and Tom Brady is they're showing loyalty. Whether they're all in agreement with it or not, they're showing some signs of loyalty. As a player, you love it. If I'm an owner, if I'm a GM, if I'm Bill Belichick, and I'm looking at how I've always run my teams, what I've always done with the Richard Seymours, with the Vince Wilfolks, with Ty Laws, with all these great players that I've had that I could have kept, but I had to part ways with them to continue to sustain my level of success, that winning tradition, that winning ways that we have established. I have to learn how to say thank you, goodbye. Understanding that the blowback is going to be huge. The backlash is going to be there from your fan base, all the way throughout. But this was the wrong decision. To let your future, the future of your franchise. And when we look at football, we're not looking at moves that you can make right here, right now. It's a game of chess. You have to always be outthinking your opponent well in advance. And that's one thing that Bill Belichick has always done. And when I look at what they've done now with letting Jimmy Garoppolo go for frankly nothing.
Yeah. Right, because they waited too long.
They waited too long.
They waited.
They for letting him go for frankly nothing, and then knowing that this could have been something special that we would be able to. You heard what John Lynch said. He frees us up in the draft. We can focus our attention elsewhere. This is what the Patriots would have had the luxury of doing for the years to come, just focusing their attention elsewhere, which they've always had that luxury. They've never had the focus at the quarterback position, but now they have to spend a draft pick on a quarterback in the draft. Make sure they try to get this one right because they had one. Now, I think it's compounded with the Patriots because we didn't see the 49ers let Steve Young go. We didn't see the Packers, who sat behind Brett Favre 3 years, could have potentially been 4 years, let Aaron Rodgers go. we saw them give them their chance. Now the situations were a little different. We're talking about an injury and then a retirement and then a step into.
And they were on the decline. Montana and Favre weren't the same.
Brady
is the same.
Montana won 4 Super Bowls, and to let a guy, we're talking about appreciating and the loyalty, you know what I mean? If anybody should have been able to finish their career in San Francisco, should have been Joe Montana.
But Montana clearly wasn't the same.
He went to the AFC Championship game with Kansas City after that. He did.
He still was performing at a high level.
But I don't think, look, I'm with you guys. I agree on what you're saying. My question is, what should they have to just keep him and then franchise him?
No, you can't franchise him. So you can't keep him. You cut Brady after the season.
Yes.
Cut Brady. Even if you may win the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl, he's going to be the MVP.
He's going
to be the MVP. They may win the Super Bowl. Then you cut him.
Chris, you gotta live. You gotta live with this. You gotta understand who Bill Belichick is. They've won Super Bowls. Richard Shepard, does he have a Super Bowl ring?
He's not Tom Brady.
I'm saying. I get that. I get that. But what I'm saying is, if you're thinking about your future, which you have to be in this game to stay elite and stay in that top 5 class and give yourself an opportunity to win year after year after year, Tom Brady, they're not going to sustain this over the course of 3, 4, 5 years.
I agree with all of that. I'm just saying it was a difficult situation in that Brady is still playing. So, if they may win their 6th Super Bowl this year.
But this is it. Last year, and I know Brady won, but if you watch the first 3 quarters of that Super Bowl and what Tom Brady looked like, I'm just saying, hear me out. And they didn't win, so they did not win the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind that Tom Brady would have been cut this year and Garoppolo would still be with the team.
But they did win the Super Bowl because of his heroics.
Well, because the Falcons choked.
Look, and he is having an MVP year.
By default, he's not the MVP. He's a fake MVP.
He would be second.
I wouldn't say he's fake, but
it would have been
he's cubic zirconia MVP. That's what he is.
That's all. Look, I agree with you guys, obviously, but it was just a tough situation with Garoppolo being so deep. I mean, he's relatively deep now. 4 years he's been there.
And they would have had to pay him so much money, right?
So I would have loved to have just paid him a franchise,
They can't put $45 million into 2 guys. Right.
So I don't see cutting Tom Brady after he wins an MVP and good chance a Super Bowl.
So you're sticking with Tom Brady too?
I'm just asking y'all what y'all said y'all would have cut him. Y'all would have cut him.
I would have cut him after this year.
I'm looking at history. And when look, I know what you've done for me. And again, as a player,
could he do it again next year?
My point, as a player, I love it, and I think that this is right. But as a owner, as a head coach, as a GM, I'm thinking business. And for my business, for my organization, what is the best situation long term? Because right now, is Brady playing great, excellent? Is he making it difficult for me to make a really hard decision? Yes. But if I'm thinking long term, like I do with all 53 guys that's on my roster, I have to make a change for the better.
How's it worked out for Indianapolis?
No. Listen. That's because he's been hurt. But my point,
he was healthy in the last one.
No, but they went to the playoffs.
Completely different dynamic. They have no one around him. His offensive line is terrible. But let's not get off topic. When I look at Garoppolo and when you draft a player as high as you drafted, and you identify specifically at the number 1 position in our league, quarterback, and you have a guy who you feel like can take the handoff and run with it. You telling me you're going to let him go and redo that all over again? Try to draft another guy or find another guy in this league?
Especially
at the
in this league,
position?
right, where it's so hard to get a quarterback. Everybody's dying. There's like 15 teams that would do anything to get a franchise-type quarterback. So to let that guy just walk for almost nothing, and you got a 40-year-old sitting there, you got to. And I'm not saying he's playing well. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I got that. But the future, where's the Patriots?
I agree with y'all. I agree with you, and I love what I've seen from Garoppolo. I liked what I saw when Brady was suspended. but it's a small
For cheating?
sample size.
It is a small sample
It's
size.
a small and Belichick has a history. I mean, he took Matt Castle. They went 11-5. So I'm not so sure he can't get another serviceable guy in
That was
there
1 year.
and make him. I know, but that was the only year he had without Brady. He might be able to make a serviceable guy.
It's a small sample
Brissett
size.
looked okay with them.
It's a small sample size, but it's a sample of a guy who's been sitting behind Tom Brady for 3 years. Again, I have lived this out with Aaron Rodgers.
You saw it.
He sat behind Brett Favre for 3 years. The sample size could have been small, but they knew we got to give this guy a shot. And so when you look at the 49ers. Look at what he's done in his time. Let's say he's not even performed at this level and they haven't even won all 3 games. Let's say they're 2-1. He's still secured a position and freed them up of, you know what, we can focus everywhere else. This is the luxury of quarterback, having this luxury of Jimmy Garoppolo. You had it in-house.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.